Welcome to Love Being American, where you can catch up on the major events and political issues that are happening around the country. Now introducing two millennials who love being American. Your hosts, Andrew and Henry.
How's it going, everyone?
Andrew and Henry here.
Welcome to the next episode of Love Being American. This is episode number 9. And today we had a photo shoot to get some photos of us, and we're going to be posting them on our social media pages. Kind of, showing you what Love Being American's all about, who we are, giving a little more insight into Andrew and Henry.
The photo shoot was pretty epic.
Yeah,
I was happy with it. More importantly, I hope that all of you are happy with it.
I mean, to be honest, you kind of looked like Tom Brady in some shots.
If I can look like Tom Brady, like, what else can you ask for? How more American can you be than Tom Brady? You're married to a supermodel who makes more money than you. You've won 4 Super Bowls, been in 6. You're arguably the best quarterback ever to play the game. That's as American as I can ever aspire to be.
Than that.
No. Name one person more American than that.
I mean, I feel like any president is more American than that, but I feel like
as a
presidential
citizen,
candidate, Tom Brady.
If Tom Brady ran for president,
I think he could win.
He'd honestly have a chance. Giselle is the first lady.
Oh my gosh. What world leaders wouldn't listen to us?
Right? Everybody, they'd have everybody's ear. Giselle's a strong woman. She'd get some stuff done.
He'd bring her into negotiations just to distract.
But hey, she's smart. She's on her game. She's not just some rollover. Yeah,
you said earlier, she makes more money than him, right?
She makes significantly. I mean, Tom Brady, upstanding gentleman, he takes a pay cut for his team. Another American thing to do. His desire is to win, not to make more money.
Was Giselle in the Spice Girls?
What? Spice Girls? You're thinking, not the Spice Girls. No, you're thinking of David Beckham's wife.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Posh Spice?
No. I feel like Posh. Oh, maybe she was Posh Spice.
What's her name?
Oh, I don't know. He's a soccer player. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, who cares?
Wait, speaking of the Patriots, we're both drinking Boston Lager beers right now.
Right? And Sam Adams?
We're on a Boston roll tonight, I guess.
This is today
or I'm drinking Boston Lager.
We made today 4th of July.
We did.
If you saw us, and you will see us, we were walking around town getting everything together, drinking Sam Adams Boston Lager. We were making this, everybody was looking at us and they were saying happy 4th of July. They forgot that
we made them think it was summer.
Absolutely.
Even though it kind of looks like summer where we're at, but
it's always summer here.
It really is. So what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be giving our thoughts on Obama's State of the Union address.
And we're going to give our own State of the Union, essentially.
Yeah, we're going to dive into what is the current state of our country? How do the American people feel? Because essentially, Obama can tell us what our State of the Union is, but really, I would say the American people have a better grasp of the state of our country and the state of our union versus his perspective, or any politician's perspective for that matter.
They have their own reasons to have their own perspective where they don't necessarily experience it like we do.
We're going to fact check some of the things that President Obama said during his speech that were basically, what's the quote about statistics?
Mark Twain said that there are lies, there are damn lies, and then there's statistics.
And Obama used some pretty good statistics during his speech to basically prove his points. And the first one that he used was he said that he boasted that in the past 6 years, he's created 900,000 manufacturing jobs. But over the entire time while he's been in office, manufacturing jobs have actually decreased by 230,000, which is significant.
Significant. You're looking at over a quarter of what he claimed to do, he lost.
Yeah, so he tried to sound like he was creating a lot of jobs when in reality, he really wasn't. He's kind of lost
fairly
jobs.
Consistent with what he says. A lot of these statistics too come from after the recession. So when everything's essentially as low as it could possibly, you only have improvement and up to go. It's easy to use that as your baseline, I'm sure a lot of people, it's kind of like Donald Trump he inherited $300 million and then he's made money off it. I'm sure a lot of us Americans, if we had that $300 million, we could turn that into more than $300 million.
I agree with that. So the second point is, you want to take this one?
Yeah, Obama said that he cut the country's deficits by almost 3/4. Now, when he says deficits, that doesn't mean the total deficit. So we're closing in on like $19 trillion worth of debt. That's still $19 trillion. He didn't cut that by 3/4. He's referring to the yearly deficit. So
year over year.
Year over year. So we're still in the we're still in the red. And that red number that's increasing every year is actually gone down by 3/4, but we're still incurring debt. A quarter of the debt that we were incurring the year prior, we're still continuing to incur. We haven't totally solved this spending problem. We're going to we'll go into a shutdown at some point.
Yeah.
For how long? Again, I don't know. I'm sure House Speaker Paul Ryan is going to be the head of that. He's not going to back down. We'll see.
Well, he technically already did back down once because when he just voted to increase the debt ceiling.
When's the next vote?
I don't know. We'll see. He just took over, so
okay.
We'll see what happens in the future. But when Obama said he cut the country's deficit by 3/4, he's measuring that from fiscal year 2009. And fiscal year 2009 included a couple $100 billion in that budget because of his stimulus bill.
Stimulus package. So he infused several $100 billion, and then he stopped infusing. So that was the 3/4 of a cut that he claimed to make.
Yeah, so that's kind of unfair to include that as part of his decrease.
So if you and I were to borrow, we're going to borrow a $100,000 loan, okay? And then after this year, but next year we're only going to borrow $25,000. So we've cut our deficit by 3/4. Essentially, that is what Obama is claiming that he did.
Damn statistics.
So
the next one is, this one's actually pretty interesting. Slowdown in healthcare spending. So he accredited that there's been a slowdown in healthcare spending, and it's been attributed to Obamacare. However, this isn't true. Economists have actually linked this slowdown to the economy. And the slowdown started happening in late 2008, all throughout 2009, before the Affordable Care Act had even been enacted. And then since 2009, it's slowly, since the Affordable Care Act has been in place, it's slowly crept up, and 2014 numbers are on the rise, and numbers are actually expected to increase for healthcare.
They're going to continue to increase with the expanded role of the healthcare system.
To be fair, some of that is from the baby boomers getting older.
Absolutely.
But also some of it is probably from the Affordable Care Act as well.
The Affordable Care Act, they haven't had all the kinks worked out and fixed. And if you could attribute it to the economy, like economists have, if people aren't making as much money as they were, if they don't have the money meet their mortgage payments and stuff, I doubt that they're going to, go to the doctors as frequently and as often. If that's their choice. Oh, I'm sick. I have a cold, sinus infection. Maybe I should go see a doctor. Oh, well, that's going to come. I have to do co-pays and stuff like that. They're probably going to avoid that, knowing that they got food and gas to put in their cars and other more essential items.
So the next item on the list is that Obama said that the U.S. spends more on our military than the next 8 nations combined. Well, this is true in close of terms of dollars, but as a shared of the nation's economy, the U.S. is only 4th highest of the top 15 countries.
So percentage based off our GDP?
Yes.
So based off the gross domestic product, that percentage is not number 1. Proportionately. No. Proportionally, top 4. But, I mean, our GDP is somewhere around $17 trillion. So 4% of that goes to military. I don't think that's... Obviously, it's significant in the grand scheme of things. We are spending a lot of money in military spending, but proportionally, I don't think that's out of whack.
Yeah, I'd like us to be number 1 there.
Right? Because if we're good at something.
Yeah, might as well be the military. My thing is, if you can be the biggest kid on the playground with the biggest guns, why wouldn't you? Because then no one's going to mess with you, right? We're already the biggest kid on the playground.
Teddy Roosevelt said, speak softly. but carry a big stick.
And that big stick's an AR-15.
Right?
So...
or an aircraft carrier or tanks or whatever else we decide.
Also, he did say some things that we both think were, we don't agree with, and two, we kind of think they're lies. And I want to start out by the biggest lie that he said right in the beginning of the
overt
speech.
Lie. Didn't he even try to politically suave, just sneak it in there? He just
went for it.
Yeah.
And I can't even believe he said this. He said, we've delivered more care and benefits to our troops, basically while he's been in office. And so I don't know if he has amnesia and totally forgot about the Veteran Affairs scandal that happened in 2014.
When 35 veterans died while waiting for care in Phoenix, Arizona. I mean, that was not that long ago.
Yeah, that's huge. No, it wasn't long ago at all. Do you think everyone forgot about that? I'm not really sure.
And then in June 2014,
they did an internal audit and found that 120,000 veterans were left waiting for on a list or never got the care they needed. And that tens of thousands of veterans had to wait more than a month for appointments.
So that's unacceptable. The people who fight for our country, who fight for our freedom, who serve us to maintain our status in the world, do not get the attention that they need.
No, this sounds like they're getting the
worst
health care.
The worst. I mean, how many veterans do you see on the streets holding up signs that are homeless, that don't have the adequate treatment, whether it be physical or mental, anything at all? They're completely neglected. For him to say that
it's kind of a smack in the face,
right? To the people who serve him, he's the commander-in-chief. That's the guy that our soldiers should be. That's the man. That's our El Capitan. He's got our back. This does not show that whatsoever.
No, and it wasn't like this was a little thing either. I mean, the Veteran Health Administration's top health official, Dr. Robert Petzel, I probably just butchered his name, he had to retire early, which basically means they kicked him out, and a bunch of other people got fired over this. So
for not performing their duty, their job requirements.
Yeah,
which would be to supplement the veterans who need help.
Yeah, it was complete neglect, and I can't believe he even said that.
It wasn't like we're planning. I mean, usually we hear kind of, we're trying to, this is our goal, this achievement. He straight out said that we have done this, we are doing this, we are delivering more care and more benefits. Ask any soldier I doubt that they're going to give you the same story.
Yeah, I doubt they agree. So the next one that caught my attention, and I didn't like this at all, he said that there should be a system of wage insurance in place so that a person can still pay their bills if they get laid off from their job and get another job, and that other job doesn't pay as much as their first job. There should be wage insurance. Like, what? To be honest, what the hell is that? That sounds like socialism in a box.
So I'm going to get a well-paying job. I'm going to get laid off and then get a job as an hourly job as a golf cart attendant on a golf course, essentially. Get my hourly pay, and I should be compensated for the difference in that when I just don't want to work. That's ridiculous. There's
so many bad things
that could happen with that. There's so many abuses. There's already abuses with unemployment. I honestly know several people who will work a job, get quote unquote laid off, and then look for jobs. In other words, just throw a couple applications into the world, claim to be looking for jobs, and still collect that unemployment. That would be significantly worse if that was in place.
Yeah, not to mention how expensive that probably would be.
So you're going to pay for that. I'm going to pay for that. We're all going to pay for those people who what if they were just shitty at their job and essentially got laid off for downsizing purposes, and then we should help them because they're bad at what they do?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. The next one, this is also a great one too.
Obama said the Iran nuclear deal avoided another war and promoted peace within the region. Sounds like the State Department, achieving peace in Syria.
So yeah, since the treaty has been drafted, Iran has fired rockets near our warships
within 1,500 yards of our aircraft carriers.
tested a surface-to-surface ballistic missile, which, by the way, is in violation of the treaty. And yeah, the big and at the time he was giving this speech, Iran had detained 10 U.S. sailors and recorded video of them basically on their knees with the hands behind their head. And
that looks like a terrorist video.
It looked like a terrorist video, and then they also aired it on TV. And it was total propaganda.
That's propaganda at its finest.
Yes, they showed the soldiers, eating and like they were helping them out, giving them food.
But they're clearly displaying them as trophies.
Yeah, should they have ever even been detained in the first place?
Those are United States soldiers.
Their ship broke down. I mean, you couldn't just let them fix it or just stand by them.
Why are they on their knees?
Why
are you putting that on TV? That should have been like, hey, President Obama, 10-year soldiers, their ship broke down. We got them. What do you want us to do with them? That should never be on the news.
No, it shouldn't. And the fact that he thinks we're all BFFs with
we're
Iran
all buddy. We're all good.
And to think that's even, I don't think Israel thinks that the region's safer because of that deal.
You're going to get the exact opposite response from Netanyahu.
So that was another blatant lie. It completely didn't agree with.
Another one. He talks a lot about our enemies. Kind of go on that Republican debate rhetoric of ISIS and terrorists and Al Qaeda. Now our enemies abroad are getting stronger. ISIS has taken significant.
Yeah, he said, and our enemies getting stronger is just political hot air being trumped by the Republicans, which I could
to a certain degree, but he neglected to name a few points. The first being that China is fighting over the South China Seas,
or they're building islands there
for military purposes, solely military purposes. And then Russia, it's increasing its naval capabilities and its presence in the Arctic, in Syria. It pulled that little stunt with Ukraine. The international community, they're stepping their bounds like against the United States that we haven't seen in recent years.
So, and a reason why I read this whole really interesting article by this guy who is basically studies, he's Chinese and he studies, the history of China and what China's future looks like. The reason why Russia's increasing their naval capacity is because basically the only way China could ever be invaded or attacked is through the South China Sea, right? They're opening up towards the Pacific Ocean, and that's the only way anyone can get in there because they're protected by.
You got Mongolia in the north, and you're not going through.
They got
steeps.
the Gobi Desert. Was it the Gobi Desert?
Yeah,
the Gobi Desert, and then they have that mountain range.
Himalayas.
Yeah, the Himalayas.
No one's ever going to go through there.
Yeah, no one's ever going to go there. So the only way they can get attacked is basically
through
from
Japan.
Yeah, from
the
sea.
South China Sea.
The Chinese have never fought a naval war in their life. They don't have admirals that are comparable to our admirals.
The last time they tried to find a naval warfare, there was a cyclone that hit when they were trying to invade Japan a few hundred years ago and wiped out their fleet.
So they don't have a good track record there. And this guy was basically saying that the U.S. could put a stranglehold on the Chinese economy anytime it wants.
Blockade it.
No problem.
They're already starving.
Yeah,
They're polluted.
China couldn't basically take it on, but Russia's increasing their naval capabilities because Russia could potentially challenge us, and this is a threat. This is Russia.
Would be a good partnership if Russia has a naval force. China doesn't. Sounds like a win-win for both as far as defense, geopolitical defense.
So that's something to keep in mind when you hear about Russia increasing its naval capabilities. And last but not least, ISIS still maintains significant territory in Iraq and Syria, and they're still a threat.
Oh, he said that there has been over 10,000 airstrikes taking out leaders of Al Qaeda and ISIS. That's all fine and dandy that we've done that. That doesn't seem to be stopping the expansion of terrorism throughout the world. Those 10,000 airstrikes aren't doing it. For the fact that we have to do 10,000 airstrikes to take out leaders, they're just refilling. They're just filling in the spots, essentially. If somebody goes down, they got the next man up. You got Bill Belichick's Patriots. Somebody goes down, boom, we got somebody else to replace him.
Yeah, we've talked about this for that, how the U.S. airstrikes aren't.
They're not
as effective as he'd like to think they are. So there were a few points that I did agree with. there's actually only two. So the first one, and to be honest, if you were listening, let me know if you agree with me or not, but I swear he basically gave a straight up Bernie Sanders endorsement last night.
Right?
Because he said we have to reduce the influence of our money in politics so that a handful of families and hidden interests can't bankroll our elections. And he basically said, he went on to say that you have to look at how politicians are running their campaigns to know if they're going to be bankrolled or not. And
he was one of those who was bankrolled. That's why I was surprised
Obama,
to hear that. He raised more money than anybody's ever had before. Bernie Sanders in the past week just said that if he gets elected, he's taking a shot at Wall Street. He's going after the big banks. He wants to break them up.
So, I mean, it's interesting because, you know, he said you have to look at how they're running their campaigns, and Bernie Sanders is just running a campaign basically of the people off people funds. So to me, it sounded like, honestly, a Bernie Sanders endorsement.
There was a few lines he took at Trump when he talked about restoring, watch out for candidates restoring past glory and targeting a specific race or religion to go after. So, I mean, that was an attack on Trump. And then that was surprising that he made that statement to me. Of all the things he said, he almost took a stance on who he's in favor of.
Oh, he definitely did. And I kind of think that him taking a shot at Trump might have been a little out of his place.
Right. It didn't
you stay
flow.
out of this election, okay?
Right.
Like, we know what you're trying to do. That's fine. You don't agree with them, but like, you're the president. You're supposed to be above all that in a sense.
You've already done that. You've paid your dues. You're the commander in chief. You don't need to lower yourself to a candidacy role.
Exactly. I didn't like that at all.
The next one, he gave the helm to Joe Biden, who's going after cancer.
Yeah,
he wants to cure cancer.
He said he wants to make America's mission to be the country that cures cancer, and he put Joe Biden in charge because Joe Biden's son died of cancer recently, Bo. So that was cool. That was something I think uplifting to hear, that he really wants to cure cancer and go after it. And it was like a little pump up moment. Everyone stood up and clapped, both parties. So I like that part. I mean, how could you not like that part?
How could you not like that? Fighting against something that has affected every single one of us. Every single one of us has had a family, a friend that has fallen victim to cancer. So for him to take a stance on something that's significant to everyone and anyone, it's nice to hear.
It was kind of comparable to saying when Kennedy said, "Let's put a man on the moon."
Yeah, absolutely.
And we did it. We threw the NASA together and we got a man on the moon. So hopefully, maybe this will be the start of getting closer to curing cancer. Okay, so now that we've kind of gone through his speech, we want to talk about how we view
State of the Union.
Yeah, how we view our State of the Union right now. What's the state of America? What's the state of the country? And we're going to start by talking about the U.S. economy, basically what impacts our wallets. There's been strong job growth since the recession, but what we haven't seen yet is an upward trend on wages. Wages haven't increased, right? That's a huge problem, that we kind of have stagnant wage growth, and it's kind of hindering our economy. So I found this interesting chart, and it's basically maps out the compensation per hour and how it increases after a recession. So it looks the 1969, 1973, 1981, 1990, 2001, and then the current recession, and how wages have grown after that recession. And our current recession cycle, wages have grown the least. Now, this was called the Great Recession, so it was, in a sense, worse than all of the other ones. But if you look at this chart, and I'll post it in the show notes, it's way down there. Everyone else's wages after a recession grew dramatically. And especially after the 1990 recession, I mean, it almost can't even fit on the same chart.
Boom, semiconductor industry leading that way.
But we still had another technology boom. I think in and of ourselves, it's just really interesting that, you know, it's happened so slowly. And that's been one of the main criticisms of Obama, that yes, the economy's back, but it's not back fast enough to where it should be.
Well, we live in a different world today than we've ever lived before. And that, traditional 9-to-5 job, I don't believe will really ever be back to where it's going to be your sole source of income, where you have the dad working, the mom at home with the kids. We're in a different world. You need two sources of income. So whether you have that 9 to 5, you need a secondary income. Or you have a husband and a wife both working. That old traditional patriarchal structure is no longer relevant today.
I mean, well, it can't be. Right now, I saw a statistic the other day, and half of all Americans are making less than $35,000 a year. I mean, that's crazy.
That's basically on the poverty line.
Exactly. And, you know, when we're talking about the state of our economy, Obama made it sound really strong, but I think, you know, I don't think it is.
Jobs may have increased, but they're not good jobs.
No.
They're hourly jobs.
And amongst minorities, wealth has dropped from 2010 to 2013. So according to the Federal Reserve, white household median wealth increased 2.4% from 2010 to 2013, while Hispanic families' wealth declined 14%. And African Americans' net worth fell from 16,000, almost 17,000, to 11,000. Basically, white middle-class people
are keeping up with inflation. That's not even a growth. Inflation's about 2% every year.
Yeah, so just barely keeping.
So white people are basically the same as what they were.
And yeah, the minorities are taking the hit. I mean, that's huge. I mean, that says a lot about our economy right now.
We're working more and making less. I
So
guarantee you people have more hours of work that they have to put in, and they're not making any more money.
In 2008, 13.2% of Americans were in poverty. In 2013, it increased to 14.5%. I don't know where it's at today, but I have a feeling that it's probably not back down.
Probably another % or two higher.
I mean, do you feel like the economy's gone any better since Obama took office versus, let's just say, the end of George Bush's term and now? Do you feel like the economy's gone better?
No, but I think it's for a variety of reasons. Again,
so you don't think that the economy's been better since 2009?
Absolutely not.
See, I completely disagree with you. 2009, it was hard to get a job. 2009, I just remember no places were hiring. It was extremely hard to get a job. So many people were unemployed. I feel like now tons of places are hiring. It's a lot easier to get a job. People coming out of college can find jobs a lot easier. I think that the economy is better than 2009, a lot better. I don't think that's at the point where it should be or can be. And I think that's for a lot of number of reasons. But I feel like it's better than 2009.
It may be easier to get a job. I will agree with that. People maybe have the access to jobs, but again, they're not as good as they were.
They're low paying.
I think they're not just low paying. You're working harder than you've ever worked before for the same money, which is essentially less money. We got less time to spend with our families, with our friends, enjoying the things we want to do, and we're working ourselves into the ground. That's not something I would think is a better economy. There's not more opportunity than we had before. And that's why I say I don't think we have an illusion that things have gotten better. It may be easier maybe a little bit better, but like you said, not to where they should be or where they could be.
I don't know. I feel like consumer confidence amongst Americans have increased since 2009. People are spending more. They're not as scared to spend. You know, I pretty much run my own business, and I've seen that there's been an increase in businesses spending more. I do understand what you're saying, but I still think it's drastically better since 2009. But I feel like one of the biggest problems facing our economy, I feel like there's a few. Basically, the government's still extremely hostile to people wanting to start businesses, especially small businesses. You have to jump through a ton of unnecessary loopholes to start a business, and I think that needs to go away with. And I think that's a problem of why maybe our economy is so stagnant right now. I heard a story the other day. This lady, she cuts all of her neighbors' hair. She's a stay-at-home mom, and she cuts people in her neighborhood's hair because she's pretty talented at it, and she has her cosmetology license or whatever. So she wanted to start a hair salon in her garage. Word got around, and basically the local government came and shut her down because she didn't have the proper permits and
to cut hair
and all this stuff. And they're saying, you know, she could have been operating, you know, unsanitary and all this stuff, but it doesn't make sense. Like, you let her run this little business.
She has a service that people are willing to pay for.
Yeah.
And you're hindering her ability to provide for her family.
Because of sanitation reasons. Again, it's a free market economy. So if she cuts someone's hair and let's say like lice spreads, well, no one's ever going to go back to her and people got lice. No one died, right? No one's going to die getting their haircut unless she stabs them with scissors. But let's be realistic here. No one's going to die or have any crazy harm to them because of a lady cutting hair in her garage. If lice spreads, that's fine.
No one's going to go back.
No one's going to go back. And then
she loses that.
The free market decided. But it's stupid stuff like that, or not letting the little kids open up the lemonade stand. You hear stories like that all the time. You know, if someone drinks their lemonade and gets sick, no, they're not going to die from the lemonade, but then they're going to tell everyone, don't go to those kids' lemonade stand. They might be peeing in the lemonade, right?
And that's just hindering kind of, and even in the State of the Union, Obama, he touched on the innovative spirit of Americans. You know, we're creators. He gives out, you know, a reference to Thomas Edison that we create things. That's how we get our economy going. And then these laws in place, like you just stated, are creating an environment
that's hostile towards innovation.
To innovation.
And another thing, especially amongst millennials, the class of 2015 graduated with a student loan debt of more than $35,000. That's going to impact the economy, not in the short term, but in the long term.
That's a year's wage for half of Americans.
Yeah, so that's putting off buying a house, buying a car. It's putting off a lot of things because they have this debt looming over their head. And I think it won't be such short term because millennials are still coming of an age.
Who pays what, $800 a month for his student loans?
Yes, I think he had about $100,000 worth of student loans, which is ridiculous. Which I think that's only 10% of millennials have $100,000 or more in student loans.
That's an exaggerated
That's an extreme example. But
still, imagine that $800 a month in your pocket. Imagine an extra $200, $300 a month in your pocket. That's your insurance payment for your car. That's your gas payment for your car. That's a grocery bill.
Cell phone bill.
That's a significant portion of your income that could be used stimulating the economy rather than hindering it.
Mm-hmm. And I said earlier, you know, consumer confidence is going up, and I think overall it is, except for, I think, with millennials. I think millennials are still very cautious. So we're technically supposed to be the most fiscally conscious generation since the Depression, and most millennials have 52% of his or her portfolio, so basically all the money we own, in cash. They're not investing it, which is a lot.
And I think it has to, a lot of that
compared to our parents who put a lot of it in stock markets and completely
my dad all the time is trying to talk to me about investments. And as you know, all my stuff's under my mattress. I got all my stuff in silver and cash.
Don't find out where Henry lives.
Good luck with that one too.
So it's pretty interesting. You know, I think a majority of Americans feel better, but I think millennials still are cautious. You know, I'm a little cautious to put too much money in the stock market and
even to buying a house. Like we both have considered buying a house, but we're still unsure of the, you know, what is the state of the union going to be in the next 6 months to a year?
The economy. Yeah. Well, I mean, and not to mention that where we live, house prices are ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true.
Just to give you an idea, if you don't live in Orange County, I was looking the other day, and to get a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 819 square foot, basically they say condo, but basically it's an apartment. Well, it's 1 bedroom, 1 bath, so not a studio, but basically an apartment is $300,000.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
It was $319.
I have family in Illinois. They rent like a 4 bedroom, 4 bath. It's like $1,200 a month.
We're living in the wrong place,
right?
I mean, it's so ridiculously expensive.
We pay for this.
The weather and the beach.
10 months of summer we have every year.
Yes, we do. So overall, I feel like the economy has gotten better, but I don't think it's where it should be. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens and what the next president's going to do, because I feel like we still have so much to grow. I think first and foremost, these wages, everyone needs to start making more money. It's getting ridiculous. Like, wage growth has been stagnant, and that cannot continue to happen if America wants to still have, you know, one of the best economies in the world.
The bigger issue, this is America. There's still plenty of opportunity. A lot of people say the American dream is dead. If anything, this is the last place that it is. Is the American dream still in America? It may not be in the rest of the world, but it's here. We have the opportunity with how the world is changing. We have to find, it's not what it used to be. The opportunity, we have to find different avenues to make that opportunity and that change ours. It is there. It exists. We have to find it though.
I agree. Wise words. So let's shift to domestic safety, and we're just going to go off feels here. You know, we did just have the biggest terrorist attack since
9/11
in San Bernardino. But how do you feel? Do you feel safer or less safe since 2009, since W left office?
I don't feel any different, to be perfectly honest, as far as safety goes. I don't think safety is. I think the media portrays that the safety of the average American is at stake when it really is not. I mean, again, talk to the people in Chicago, they'll give you, or, you know, East, South LA, they'll give you a different story. However, as a whole in America, I think I personally have no issues or qualms with safety. Granted, we live in Orange County. We live in a nice area. However, I've traveled all over the country. I never felt unsafe. I'm a guy, a little different than if you're a girl traveling alone at night. I've traveled in the downtown streets of Chicago in the middle of the night by myself. Never felt unsafe.
So I'm with you there. Like, I've never felt really unsafe, but as a whole, I felt when we had George W. This is totally the more conservative side of me talking, but I felt more safe about international threats and I guess terrorism on our soil when George W. Bush was in office than Obama, because I felt like George Bush.
I felt he had our back.
Yeah, he always had our back. I
completely understand what you're saying.
You know, if an outside force were to come in, Bush would have a really good response or
like
be able
Iran
to be ready for it.
Would not have shot a ballistic missile within 1,500 yards of our aircraft carrier if W was in office. That is something that is a statement. I will agree with that.
I agree with you on that too.
As far as domestically walking around, I don't, in the world, in the standing of the world, I mean, people and probably even Americans may not have liked Bush, but people feared Bush.
Yeah, as far as like crime on the street, you know, I don't think there's any difference. I don't feel any difference or anything like that. But I feel like as perceived threats or, you know, perceived safety, I felt like I felt safer when Bush was in office than Obama.
That could be the media and the way the media has been working and portraying terrorism and, you know, gun violence and stuff like that. Be. But since Obama has been in office, there are more mass shootings than there has ever been.
Yeah, that's another good point.
So I don't necessarily personally feel unsafe. However, there are more threats now on our own soil within our own communities than there has been before.
Yeah, I agree, because we're no longer, in a sense, bringing the fight to them. They're kind of bringing it to us like we were under Bush. I'm not saying the Iraq war and the Afghanistan war was a good thing, but you get my point.
Absolutely.
Do you think the American people feel safer?
No, I don't think they feel safer.
So this is what I think. I think that if you're a Democrat, you feel safer. And I think that if you're a Republican, you feel less safe. And I think that's totally just what?
Really?
Yeah, I think it's because the Democrats feel safer because they think Obama's doing a good job of protecting us. He's got a good grasp on world and foreign policy. And I think that Republicans think the exact opposite.
By the Republican candidates and terrorism.
Their rhetoric. And I think, you know, some of them, felt more safe when W was in office. That's my thoughts. I think that how safe you feel in America right now has to do with how you're aligned politically.
Right. Okay. I'll agree with that. Now, what do you think about as far as
foreign policy?
Foreign policy. How do you feel that our role as the United States, how do you feel like our role is? Do you think it's increased our role in the affairs of the world? Do you think we've taken a backseat approach, kind of stand on the sidelines? How do you think that our involvement with the world is?
I think, no questions asked, we have taken one step back from our involvement in the world.
Is that good or bad?
I think in certain aspects it's good. I don't know if we could have been policing the world with everything our economy was going through these last few years. But I also think in some aspects, especially what went on in Syria and what went on in Ukraine and other parts of the world, we could have played certainly a more active and aggressive role towards stopping some of that. And I think that, you know, we really missed some good opportunities to really show our strength and show that American power is still around. But at the same time, I think not sending troops into Syria right away is probably a good idea. I think there are benefits to stepping back, but I think we stepped back too far. Maybe we just need to take a half step back. Instead, I think we took a giant leap back. What do you think?
I definitely believe we've taken a step back, and I think it would be for the better if we address more of the issues that we have at home. I think we've
neglected
our domestic issues as far as education, immigration, the economy, certain things that
that's a good point, because none of that really changed the last 4 years.
No.
We don't have better immigration policy. Our education isn't better. It might have gone worse. Yeah, I don't know if we have better healthcare. I mean, there's some pluses to Obamacare, I think, but I don't think it went about the right way. I think we didn't fix as many home issues as we could have with taking a step back in the world. Let's take a step back in the world. Let's really focus on nation building.
What we have here, but we took a step back, and then we still are sitting on the sidelines with our own domestic issues, and that's, I think, the problem. The problem that I have. I don't think necessarily Afghanistan and Iraq. We've created our own little demon with ISIS because of those affairs, but at the same time,
well, you could argue ISIS was created because we pulled out too early.
Because we pulled out too early. But if we never, Saddam Hussein, when he was in there before, when Saddam Hussein was in office, there was never one roadside bombing. Never.
Yeah, that's true. He kept the terrorists out.
He kept the terrorists out. Don't get me wrong, by no means was that a good or pleasant individual. But he had that country on lockdown. Since then, terrorism is risen through unprecedented heights. So, I guess it's hindsight's 2020. It's hard, but it's even then, it's hard to tell if we were to stay in Iraq and Afghanistan, would that be better for us and our economy, for our soldiers? We're going to have more soldiers that are dying if we have kept them over there.
I think that there maybe could have been a happy medium that could have been found, but I understand what you're saying. And so how do you think how do you think our allies view us now? Do we have stronger ties with our allies than we did?
Who's our allies?
Let's just say European Union, Israel. Let's just focus on them, in Canada, because they're
our
big three.
Partner.
Canada's America's top hat.
As far as Israel, they do not think.
They totally have a more negative view of us.
Completely negative view. There was reports that Obama, he's after his presidency, he's not stopping there. He wants to get on the world stage, the head of the UN Security Council. And Netanyahu,
that would be great.
Right? Netanyahu is not. He is literally lobbying against that. He does not want Obama running the UN security affairs. And I think that speaks volumes to how he thinks to our relationship with Israel. With the European Union, I think we fit in perfectly. Taking a back seat, just letting everybody do whatever they want, because the European Union doesn't do.
Well, the thing is, Obama likes to tell jokes. So I think if he's the head of the UN Security Council, the UN's kind of a joke. He'd be the head of jokes.
He'd be the head of jokes.
This is a perfect role for him.
Right?
But all seriousness, I think Europe, we kind of have the same, our relationship's the same.
I don't think it's changed
Canada,
much.
We still have a weird relationship with them. I think the main thing is we really took a backseat with Israel, which is, our number one ally in the Middle East, and
we've taken a backseat with Saudi Arabia. They're not happy with us. We've always had a fickle relationship with them. But I think now more than ever with the Iran nuclear deal, they're really not happy with us. They're starting to take things into their own hands, getting their.
That's a whole nother conversation, because I don't like Saudi Arabia, and I don't think they should be our allies for many reasons. I think the only reason we are allies with them is because of oil. But hey, the U.S. is producing our own oil now. That's what fracking can do. Fracking can get us off of being dependent on foreign oil, and that can allow us to write our agenda.
We need to utilize our renewable energy sources, for one, because we could literally power ourselves. We have neglected, because of big interest with oil, to use renewable energy, because we could power ourselves. It's ridiculous that we don't.
Yeah, the potential that could open up for us would be
without a dependency on foreign oil. Obama actually in his State of the Union, he said, I believe it was 60% we've cut down on foreign imports.
Yeah, we have.
That's awesome. That should be 100% though. We should not be importing any. We are the biggest energy exporter in the world. We are by far the biggest consumer as well.
Yeah, we don't need to be importing any oil.
No, absolutely not. We should be doing everything we can to power ourselves.
I have to agree with that, and I think every American would agree with that. How do you think America's viewed by our enemies?
Oh, our enemies? They're loving it right now.
I think 100%. They are too. I think
they're seeing a drop off in our involvement, and they're absolutely capitalizing on it. When W was in office, you didn't see Putin going in there trying to go after Ukraine.
You didn't see China building.
You didn't see China building
those islands.
Iran was just lucky to be around.
Yeah, they had crazy sanctions. Their economy was in the toilet. We had a very good relationship with Israel. Other than Iraq and Afghanistan, everything else seemed kind of stable. Like there wasn't any big nations flexing.
Right.
It was all these little
like,
But you're always going to have that. But you didn't have any of the major players making big moves. I'd say Russia's making huge moves in Ukraine, being in Syria, building their fleet. China in the South China Sea. I'd say even North Korea has gone more aggressive.
North Korea's got aggressive.
They just tested a hydrogen bomb. Like that's
supposedly
pretty big.
They haven't. Not that I necessarily believe anything North Korea says.
I think they have some type of bomb.
They never would have said anything.
We would have found out regardless.
Right.
Yeah, I think we have a lot more aggression from
our enemies
negative
are getting
actors
cockier,
in the world. Yes,
significantly cockier than they've ever been before, and that is not something I am a proponent of.
No, I don't think that's good
we're not carrying our big stick like we used to.
So overall, I feel like America is a little better off than it was in 2009, but I still think we have a lot of room to grow. And I think we have to do it quickly.
We definitely have room to grow. There's a lot of opportunity, a lot of potential, room for change. Obviously, we're not in a complete recession. I don't think we're significantly better than we were. Again, we still have a lot of improvements to make. We can definitely be better with our foreign policy in establishing relationships that are beneficial to the United States and to other countries in the world. We can make the world a better place. How we go about that will dictate how effective that will be.
So let's shift and lighten things up a little bit, and let's go to the schmuck of the week.
Schmuck of the week.
The wussification has begun. Last month, the Wisconsin state's governing body for high school athletics declared that chanting USA is unsportsman.
USA. So chanting that chant
is unsportsmanlike behavior. So
what do we even say about that? Like, that is absolutely insane. We're not going to chant United States of America.
And they also said that
it is considered derogatory and offensive behavior.
Yeah.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Like, how are you biased in any way if you're at a college sports game chanting USA? How is that unsportsmanlike? Who are you offending?
It's so preposterous to me. Like, if USA offends you, like, you shouldn't be worried about saying your own country's name in your country. Why should I be afraid? If I went to Russia, should I be afraid I'm going to offend anyone for chanting Russia, Russia, Russia? I don't know who they think they're offending.
Like, what is...
It's so stupid, it's hard to comprehend, right?
Right? I saw... You showed me this, and again, baffled. It didn't make sense. I had to reread this a couple times to make sure
some people that live here might not like America. Well, listen, if you don't like America, you're not going to be at a sports game.
No, absolutely not.
Right? Second of all, why are you here? And why are you so damn sensitive that you take offense to people chanting their own country inside their country? Like, I could see if I was walking down a street in Russia or China chanting USA, it might offend some people because we kick their ass and everything.
Right.
But who am I going to offend walking down a street in America chanting America? Really would love to talk to these people.
To understand their reasoning, their logic, why this was considered unsportsmanlike and offensive behavior. It's the farthest thing from... It's not even sportsmanlike conduct. Like, what does it have to do with sportsmanship? That's what I don't understand is...
you can't chant during sports games now?
Like, you can't chant during... This airball was one. I guess that could be, like... I'm sorry. If you're an athlete, you're a D1 athlete. You have a chance to play at a professional... sports at a professional level.
People are going
and
to be
if
booing.
you cannot handle an air ball, a boo, you don't belong in that game. That game, no, absolutely not.
Well,
what are we going to do? We're going to watch the World Series in silence. No cheering because it's going to offend the other team that didn't do so well. No booing for the people who messed up. What is anybody? It's going to be utter and complete silence. I mean, in the NFL will never get rid of that. Why are we doing it at the college?
No, we're doing it. They're doing it at the high school level, not the college level.
Oh, it was
the high school. It wasn't the college.
Oh,
it was the Wisconsin as a state.
Oh, the state.
Yeah, I was doing this at the high school level. I don't know. And you're not even preparing those players to move up because they're going to have to deal with that stuff.
Absolutely.
They're going
to go for a free throw and just start crying.
It's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
We should go to Wisconsin and go to some games and just get thrown out for chanting USA.
I'm so down.
I wonder if anyone would actually throw us out. We should buy a plane ticket there and record us doing it and see what happens.
Absolutely.
Anyways, guys, thanks for joining us for episode number 9. Hope you're having a great Sunday. We're going to start hosting Blabs now. If you don't know what Blab is, it's basically like it's a 4-way video chat.
You will be able to converse with us personally. Give us your thoughts, your opinions, and create a dialogue with us.
So join us on Blab. We're going to be on this Monday at 7 o'clock. It links in through Twitter. So all you do is download the app on your iPhone or Android phone, and you'll sign in through your Twitter account. Look for the Love Being American Blab, and we're going to be there. It's a chance to chat with us personally, ask us any questions.
Give us your comments, concerns, questions. We'll be happy to engage with you.
Some feedback. And if you like what we have to say and you're liking our podcast so far, we'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe. That way you'll automatically get episodes on your phone every Sunday. And also leave us a rating and review. 5-star rating would be amazing. It's what keeps us going. It helps us rank better in iTunes. It's just something we'd really appreciate. We're also giving away free t-shirts if you leave us a 5-star review and a comment. And this week's t-shirt is going to Nacho Nanny. I just chose the name. I liked what she had to say. So Nacho Nanny, please send an email to andrew@lovebeingamerican.com and we'll get you hooked up with the t-shirt and send it your way.
We'll send it your way.
All right, everyone. With that being said, I'm Andrew.
I'm Henry.
We love being American.
Peace out.